Hey Queens, welcome back to Gears and Queers. I'm Chris, and this is another episode of Quarantine Garage, where while quarantined, Jake and I individually work on our aging fleet of vehicles, and today, it's my 2007 Infiniti G35. You guys probably don't really know much of anything about this car. We haven't really had it on the channel. I've had it for like 5 years. I'll do a separate walk around and introduction to it, but basically, for the last 1,000 or so miles, I've been getting a check engine light randomly off and on. The code is P0455, which is a gross emissions leak in the evaporative system. And so basically I did a little bit of research, a little bit of digging around, and all signs are pointing to the canister vent valve at the back, kind of underneath the spare tire, like below the trunk here. So I went and got a new one from Infiniti. I'll show you the part number here in a second, and let's get to it. Alright y'all, so just a little bit about how I came to this conclusion and what I did to diagnose. So let's crank up the car real quick. Freaking amber glow, the bane of my existence. And so like I said, it's been coming and going. I hadn't seen it for about 500 miles and it came on the other day when I went to the grocery store. So I was like, I've got to do something about this. I do have a scan gauge too, as you can see right here. So what I did was went ahead and plugged her up. We've got one stored code, and it's P0455. Like I said, gross emissions leak. So just some internet research points to a few different things that could be possibilities. A lot of people say gas cap could have a poor seal or like a malfunctioning spring, something like that. A lot of other people are pointing straight to this canister vent valve, and the design of that has actually been superseded a few times over the years. So this is the new part. I actually called the Infiniti dealer, and they said that the part that I was looking for, which I had got online, the information, had been superseded by this one. So this is the most up-to-date part, and they're calling it a drain cut valve. Of course, you guys know Nissan and Infiniti, the same thing. So the part 14935-JF01C, this is what we want to use. So we're gonna go ahead and lift up the back of the car on these ramps just because it makes it that much easier to get under here. We're going to be removing this under tray at the rear of the car. The canister sits right above it. It's very accessible. There are two of these clips, these body clips here at the front, at the back of the bumper. And there are 3 of these 10mm bolts. And then let's see if we can get up in there. It's kind of dark, but deep in those recesses are 10mm nuts. So you will need an extension. You can do this whole job with a 10mm, an extension, and a 13mm, which is for the canister itself to drop it and get some more clearance. Now that this undershield is off, y'all can see this is the charcoal canister fully exposed. This little bit right here, that is what we're trying to replace. Remember, this is the canister vent valve, not the purge valve that is located in the engine bay. So this looks to be the original one. This is the older design. It is physically different from the newer one. I'll show you when we get to that. Basically, this right here, this is just a press-on hose. There's one connection at the top. There is a clip that you can't really see on the other side of this. If we can kind of get around to it. That locks this in place. So when you remove this connection and this connection, this will rotate, and then there are little teeth on this that you will have to align before you can remove it. What I recommend is, this is the reason we put the car on ramps, was to get more clearance under here, is to actually lower the canister. So there is one 13mm bolt here, and then the whole thing will slide towards the driver's side of the car, and you can lower it and you can easily undo that connection, easily get the thing out. Alright y'all, so here is the old canister vent valve. This is the portion which connects to the vent hose, it's kind of hard, but if you can see in there, a lot of times these will rust or they'll clog if there's anything in that vent line, and you can see that this thing will be visibly obstructed. Basically, the only job this thing has is whenever the engine computer is running emissions checks to see if the system has any leaks, this valve inside will close. And then this one is either closing sometimes, or sticking, or fully failed and the computer's just confused. This one is not working, right? And so here we have the new one. Right off the bat, you can tell that these are visually very different. Like I said earlier, this is one of, like, I don't know, 6 revisions of this part. And this was found on like Nissan and Infiniti models from many years. So this guy right here is known to fail. This one, this new one here, these are both pretty heavy. This one I would say is a little bit heavier than this one, but this one just looks way more substantial right off the bat. This thing here is buttoned up, everything is back in place. I haven't started it yet, but I'm honestly not sure if the check engine light will go away with this first crank. I think it might take until the next time the engine computer cycles through and tests the system, but let's give it a shot. All right, ladies, let's go over the importance of checking over your work thoroughly at every step, because I went for a drive and the check engine light didn't go off, and I'm like, let's check and see if the code's like still there, if something else has come up, I don't know. And then I had 2 stored codes, and I was like, that sounds like a problem. So we had our P0455, and then we also had P0447. And so P0447 referred to the vent canister valve circuit being open. And I'm thinking to myself, but I connected it. So what's going on there? Did I get a bad part? Whatever. And so I get back to the garage and I'm like, let's take it apart. Let's make sure I plugged the damn thing in. And I hadn't fully seated the connector. So I just did that, and car's running now. Like, the codes are still here. I haven't cleared them. I think I want to go for another drive, but I still do think this is probably not going to get fully cycled out until the ECM decides it wants to check the system for leaks, which I believe is after a cold start. A couple hours, I'm not exactly sure, but we'll find out. Well, y'all, the codes are still there. We're gonna go ahead and check it in the morning with a cold start and see if they go away, but otherwise we'll just clear them later on and see if they come back, and see if this was a permanent fix or if more diagnosis is needed. But see y'all next time. Thanks for watching.